How does a man end up killing his father and sleeping with his mother? Are these actions a result of the sick desires of a deranged man? Or are they the result of a man that had been ill-fated from birth? Join us as we dive into the dark tale of King Oedipus, the man blinded by incest and rage. One would think that being born into a royal family was a blessing. However, after the royal couple of a prestigious Greek kingdom welcomed the birth of an heir, joy was replaced with dismay when an oracle told the king that this child will bring about the destruction of his family. Eager to avoid such a fate, the royal couple decided to give their son to a servant who'd pierce his feet and pass a rope before abandoning him in the wilderness so that he could be at the mercy of beasts. Alas, the servant couldn't go through with all of this, so he gave the boy to another shepherd who cleaned the baby before naming him Oedipus. Unable to take care of the child long term, the shepherd took the baby to the childless royal family of Corinth, who adopted Oedipus as their own. Over time, Oedipus grew up to be a fine young man. However, his peaceful life was shaken up by a drunken nobleman who declared that he could not be his father's heir because he was a foreigner. Despite the advice to ignore the drunkard, Oedipus consulted the Oracle of Delphi. This is when he'd learn of the prophecy in which he was fated to kill his father and bed his own mother. Mortified, Oedipus decided to leave Corinth. While wandering through Greece, Oedipus will engage in a deadly confrontation with a lord and his servant, in which he'd kill all except one of the lord's servants, who'd flee the scene following the gruesome murder of his lord. Following this encounter, Oedipus would learn of a monster known as the Sphinx, which was terrorizing the land by killing all those who couldn't solve its riddle. Faced with no other option, the people of Thebes begged Oedipus to intervene on their behalf because he was known for his keen intelligence as well as his fierce strength. Once before the mythical beast, the Sphinx posed its riddle to the young prince. What has one voice but goes on 4 legs in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 3 in the evening? To the beast's dismay, Oedipus solved this riddle by revealing that this was a man at different stages of life. Once he freed the city from this murderous creature, the people of Thebes rewarded Oedipus by crowning him as their king, while also giving him their queen Jocasta as his bride. Together, the union will result in the birth of 4 children, while the city will enjoy a time of peace. Well, for a spell. Soon, things began to go awry, as Thebes was on the brink of destruction thanks to a plague that threatened to kill all its inhabitants. Such was the level of this turmoil that the people begged their king to help them find a solution to this deadly malady that was running through the land. With the help of Creon, his brother-in-law, the king learned from the Oracle of Delphi that this disease will eat through the city unless the man who murdered King Laius, the city's previous king, was revealed and exiled. As nobody knew the murderer's identity, the king consulted with Tiresias, the blind prophet, who was known for his soothsaying abilities. Upon consultation with the gods, it soon became clear that the prophet was troubled by what the gods revealed. Reluctantly, the prophet revealed that it was Oedipus who was the murderer. Although Oedipus refused to believe this, further investigations revealed that it was he who murdered the previous king, because the lord he had killed when he was young was none other than the king. King Laius was his father, and Queen Jocasta was unfortunately his mother, whom he married when he became the king of Thebes. Mortified by the news, Jocasta took matters into her own hands by taking her own life. Overcome by grief and disbelief, Oedipus blinded himself by gouging his eyes with his mother's ornaments. Driven by grief and despair, Oedipus decides to follow through with the instruction of the gods by exiling himself from his once glorious kingdom. Only his daughter Antigone will accompany him out of the city, something that he considered to be a representation of the forgiveness of the gods. Such is the tragedy of Oedipus, the man who was fated to kill his own father and marry his own mother. Despite attempting to flee such a fate, it appears the will of the gods is inevitable. We can only hope that they will be merciful enough to bless us with destiny that is devoid of tragedy.